What's going on, everybody? SammyV here with Millennial Stores with SammyV podcast, episode number 3. For those of you who are new, this is a podcast where I interview young people that have inspiring stories, that are inspiring people. And today we got Alex Johnson on. Thank you for coming out, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you having me.
Alex has actually been a good friend of mine since 14, 15 years old?
Yeah, long time ago.
Played club soccer
Still
together.
here, yeah.
So kept in touch, and Alex is a mega entrepreneur. He's owned 4 businesses. He's only 26 years old. He's owned 4 businesses throughout that time. Really since college, you started.
Yeah, probably 2011 would have been my sophomore year in college. Started my first company, and that kind of progressed into everything that we are now. So it's been at it for a long time. I mean, it's a long haul thing for most people to think, oh, you start a business and boom, you're successful. It's like, it's probably going to take you some time.
Yeah.
So I've been learning ever since, and it's been a good process to be through.
Well, let's start there. Just so you have an idea on what Alex does currently. Alex owns Mixed Nutrition, Exterior Alliance, and between the 2 of those businesses, they'll do close to, if not over, $7 million this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, about that range, yeah.
And then you just started a real estate company.
Yep, just starting to get involved in real estate. Bought my first house in September, and now we got another property that I'm going into contract with as a rental. So just continuing to utilize the capital we have, hopefully for smart stuff.
Very cool. Now, what was the first, you started a business when you were in college, is that right?
Yeah, so my sophomore year here at Ashland University, we're actually at Ashland University here, so shout out to the Eagles. But we started an entertainment company that would help some of the people on campus just have something to do. Like, there wasn't that much to do. We're at small town feel, that kind of thing. So we brought some local artists in, paid them a couple of bucks, took the door money, and from there it kind of just grew and grew and grew into some pretty big, large-scale events. And that wasn't really like the long-term thing that I thought I was going to do with my life. So it's kind of molded and changed into different stuff, the businesses I'm involved in now. But that was the foundation for where I am today. I learned so much in those short years doing that, so much more than you could ever learn in a classroom or working at a coffee shop or whatever it may be, because all the concepts I was seeing were real. And if like we made a mistake, it's like, that's real money we just lost. Wait a second, So it's like, well, we're not going to make that one again if we can avoid it. So that was huge for me, and that kind of broke the box for me in my thinking that said, hey, here's how you make money. You go to school, you get a job, you save, you put money into your 401k, and then when you're 65, you retire, and it's like done and over with. Like, that broke the mold for me, because we could make a couple $1,000 in a couple of hours, and it wasn't like, oh, I had to work for 6 weeks to make that money. Like, if things went well, we made money like that. So it was definitely hard work, but it opened my eyes to the bigger picture and showed me, like, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Like, I'm not meant for an office and a cubicle and sitting around and trading dollars for hours kind of thing.
So that was starting that business and running that. That was when you said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Did you always think that I'm going to?
Well, I didn't know. So I got to school, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was undecided when I got to school. Like, I honestly came to school to play soccer. Like, I didn't come to school to learn, I was going to be a byproduct, but I always knew I wanted to play soccer, so I came here and had the opportunity to do that. And I somehow, by happenstance, got put into an entrepreneurship class and started getting through it. And I was like, I kind of like this. And my professor, he said something that stuck with me to this day. He said, start a business while you're in college. Well, that seems like counterintuitive advice. I don't have any money. I've never done it before. I'm young. I have a lot of stuff on my plate. I'm playing soccer and I'm going to school. But his logic was, well, think about it. You don't have any money, so you got nothing to lose. You got all these resources behind you. You got the whole campus around you. You got a captive customer base here. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You're only 18, 19 years old, So, like, you're not staking your mortgage and your house and your child's income or education on it, If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it's not to say that it didn't work for us. It did work, but I just saw long term that wasn't my path. And it was a springboard to what we're doing now. So that's always stuck with me, and that's what brought me to this point.
What do you think in that process, when you first started that business, or that first business, what's one of the biggest things that you learned, or what was a failure that you had that you learned from that has now helped you succeed in the other businesses you have now?
I'd say the biggest thing that I learned is you aren't going to know everything. I mean, you're not going to know really what you're doing at all until you get in there and start getting your hands dirty. Like, I didn't know that much about entertainment. Like, I didn't know what to say in my emails to artists, like when we were trying to book them. Looking back, you probably like think, oh, that was naive. Like, we shouldn't have said those things, Like,
yeah.
We were throwing out all this stuff that we didn't really know if we could pull it off or not. And it's really about just going for it more than it is making sure that every step along the way is perfect. Yeah. I didn't know what it would look like to hire an employee, or I didn't know whether the contracts we were writing were sound or not, but we just went with it, and we weren't concerned with making mistakes. We knew those were going to happen, but we just trusted our ability to kind of rebound and keep on going and go through those without, losing everything, because we didn't have anything. So, that's what I would say, is just picking up as you go along what you need to know, because you're not going to ever know everything about a field when you go into it, unless you've already been doing it for 10, 15 years.
Right.
So, and by that point, you started somewhere, so you didn't know anything about it at one point. And that's the same thing about, my online sales company. I didn't know anything about selling online. I can't code. I still can't code. Like, I'm not like a great tech guy, but we just knew a little bit about social media, stuff that we had just picked up over time, and we took it and ran with it, and we got better and better and better. And now we're so good at it that we consult for other people. So it's like, well, we never had a chance to do that when we started. No one would have taken us seriously. But now we have the credibility because we've been doing it for a long time. Same thing with my construction company. Like, I tell people, like, you don't want me hanging pictures in your house, because like that wasn't me. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't the handy guy. Like, that's not how I got into that. I got into that because I was doing some sales. My business partner brought me in, and he said, hey, look, we can do this, and we can do it better than the guys that we're working with now. So let's go for it. So I was like, all right, well, don't know a huge amount about this, but I trust my own ability to make things work and to learn from my mistakes. So.
Yeah. You've said it like 3 or 4 times. You said the 3 words, go for it. Do you think, what's the, obviously there's been things that you've failed at, that you've made a bunch of mistakes in the process, but you're 26 years old, you've got now 3 businesses, and 2 of them combined are going to do around $7 million this year. That's pretty good for a 26-year-old. What do you think is the biggest difference between you and another 26-year-old out there?
Well, I think I do have the good fortune that I started, when I was 18, 19, like probably 19 years old. So the lessons that a 26-year-old who's just starting today would pick up, like, I might have learned those like 6 years ago. But you got to learn them at some point, and that's all about just like starting the process. Like, I had a buddy that I just saw on Friday night. He's like, I'm thinking about starting a business. Tell me about it. And I told him some stuff, and he's like, so what if I hit a snag? I was just like, call the state of Ohio, like just get somebody on the phone, start asking questions. Hey, I don't understand workers' compensation. Explain it to me. It's like you just got to learn somewhere, and not being afraid to get out and firsthand find that information that's going to be necessary to take you forward. And I feel like so many people think that this is an unbelievably daunting task, starting a business, and it definitely is. It's a marriage. It's not a date. We're not dating. If you're going into business, like, you're married to it. Yeah. But you never know whether that's going to be the perfect time, the perfect situation, the perfect business idea until you go. Yeah. And once you get going, you're going to find out, well, hey, it wasn't perfect when I started it, but now because I'm doing that, I see this next opportunity that's right around the corner. I mean, that's what Mixed was. Mixed, we had a very different idea of what we thought we were going to be with our end product. But we started our website to make a couple of bucks to funnel that project, and then we were like, oh shoot, we're actually making some good money with this website. Yeah. And then we had a rep that told us, hey, I have an account doing $500,000 a month on Amazon. I said, do you mean $500,000 a year? He said, $500,000 a month. We were driving home, and I was like, we need to get on Amazon. My business was like, yep, we need to figure this thing out. Yeah. So that's like 99% of our revenue. We didn't know a dang thing about Amazon, but we just made a seller account and we took our bumps along the road. You know, our seller account almost got shut down because we were late shipments and things like that. And it wasn't because we weren't, you know, smart enough to figure it out. We just had to like say, okay, well, this is really relevant. We got to make sure this is here and that's here and this is here. And, you know, now we have a really big Amazon seller account with perfect feedback and all that stuff, but that wasn't what it started as.
Right,
and that's not what anybody's going to start as.
Right.
So that's you just
I think that's what I think is a big thing that what holds people back. I think, especially young people. And you said it a couple of times. You said it once. You said the idea of getting a good job, you know, getting a degree to get a good job, so you can have a 401k so you can retire when you're 65. Not that that's a bad thing to do, but there's so many ways to make money in this country. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't just this one set way, especially with technology now.
Oh man.
You know, we were chatting before this, and there's this girl, a teenage girl that started a YouTube show about slime, and makes she retired her mom
Right.
on a YouTube show about slime. There's so many ways you can make money.
So like we were saying, there's people making $500,000 a year playing video games.
Yeah.
That career didn't exist like 3-4 years ago. Like, it was not a career path. If you were playing video games in the basement, what did mom say? Like, get serious, Sam. It's like, well, I am serious, you know? Like, but the box that people, I don't think that it's maybe society that puts them in it. They mentally put themselves in that box. They say, I got a friend who really, really wants to start a business, but he just loves that paycheck every 2 weeks. Yeah. And he just is so nervous to break out of that cycle of getting that paycheck every 2 weeks that he just hasn't pulled the trigger. And I know he wants it. He says, I want to do this. I said, you just got to start, man. Like, you know, there's no magic formula for doing this thing unless you get going and you find out what's going to work and what's not going to work. You got to knock some doors. You got to find out where the opportunities are. And you're never going to be able to see where those opportunities are if you're not in it already.
Right. What do you think, what is it like being a 26-year-old running 2, now 3 companies? What's that day-to-day like? Is it glamorous? Is it, what's it like?
It's super glamorous. You know, I drive in a really fancy car. No, I mean, it's the opposite of glamorous. Like, I saw some buddies up here in Ashland last night, and they're like, what do you do, you know, on the weekends? And I'm like, not a lot. Like, I'm like pretty uncool, to be honest. I'm not like going out and flaunting and doing stuff like that. Like, I'm mostly working, and my downtime, I'm thinking about working, or I'm just trying to rest, relax, like recuperate kind of thing. I'm fortunate that we're at a point in our business that I'm not having to work like 60, 70 hours, 80 hours every single week. Like, we've built those things up, and we have some people in place that like can help put out fires, but I'm still the guy that, you know, at the end of the day takes the calls, and I have the responsibility, and I'm processing the payroll, and, you know, making sure people are getting their 401k benefits and all this stuff. Oh, we gotta let somebody go. Alex, what has to happen? Like, oh, we gotta figure it out, you know. Yeah. But it's a very non-glamorous lifestyle. It's not the social media lifestyle that so many people are like hoping for. Like, I'm going to start a business so I can take a picture of my Bentley with my Rolex, like, sitting on it. Like, that's the opposite of my life, you know. Like, that stuff to me, that looks like a waste of money. But, you know, because I know how hard it is to make money when you're a business owner. Yeah. So, you know, maybe someday down the line, yeah, I'll treat myself to, like, you know, a nice car or something. Yeah. But I wouldn't mistake it for an investment. You know, it's like, oh, I'm kind of wasting some of my money here, you know.
I think that's one thing is that not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's going to, you know, not everybody. I don't think not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur.
No, most definitely not.
But one thing that I think is like an entrepreneur is like the new celebrity. We were talking about this on the phone a couple weeks ago. Entrepreneur is like the new celebrity, and it's good that young people want to be entrepreneurs, but like they don't. A lot of times don't understand how hard it is to start a business and build it. It's not glamorous, you know. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, and honestly, you fail a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that the good thing about social media right now is You can start a business, you can build a business from your cell phone.
Yeah.
But the bad thing about it is that the perception that entrepreneurship is this glamorous and easy and like this awesome lifestyle, and it is, but like it's not. Like, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of time. That's part of the reason why I want to do this, is because, you know, you see on social media, you'll have guys that, you know, that are 50, 60 years old, and they have this lavish lifestyles, and they run $100 million companies, you know what I mean? But like, what it took to get them there is ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And so, a 26-year-old running 2 businesses that have $7 million in sales, that's a successful business. But that is, I think, more realistic for someone to think about at age 20, that, you know, maybe in 10 years I can be there.
And here's one of the things that I said to you too when we were on the phone. You know, you look at these people on the Shark Tank, right? You know, oh, Mark Cuban, you know, he's got more money than you could probably ever spend. He absolutely does. But like, you don't need $1 billion to be successful, you know? Like, if you have a couple of $1 million in your bank, like, to me, you're rich, you're very successful, and that's probably all you need, honestly, to live the rest of your life out if you're smart with your money. Like, you don't need to have $50 million. If you want to drive a Bentley and, you know, have a mansion, yeah, sure. But, you know, being a success, it's not the highlight reel that is Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah.
And, you know, those pictures that you see. And that puts this perception into people's minds that, oh, you run a business, you must have a ton of money. It's like, well, a lot of money flows through. I mean, money comes in, money goes back out. You know, I got employees and insurance, and I got, you know, 401k benefits that I'm paying for, and I have 4 different offices. It's like, money's just going everywhere, you know. And taxes, goodness me, you know, we just passed April and taxes, and it's just a hard life. There's no doubt about that, but the rewards can be there.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody. It's like you said. You know, I have a lot of guys, specifically salesmen from my construction company, that when they come in, they say, like, Alex, I want, like, the money. I'm like, okay, be honest with you, this is an opportunity. You can make a lot of money. I have a sales guy who made $120,000 last year. To me, that's a ton of money. But he's, like, one of the biggest hustlers I've ever met in my life. Like, he's the type of guy from, like, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., like, he's ready to answer his phone. Like, he won't let it ring more than one time.
Yeah.
And this is Dan with Exterior Lines. You're like, okay, I get it why you're doing that.
Right.
But a lot of the guys who come in, they just want the money, but they don't know what it takes.
Wow. Yeah.
And they can't wrap their heads around why this one guy's having so much success and they're not. Well, it's not anything except yourself. Like, you are the variable that's, like, separating you from that.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. It's not. You know, some people do better getting that every day in and out, and then the paycheck at the end of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that makes more logical sense to them. But I was fortunate that I was able to kind of mentally break that box and say, this is not the only way to do it, or this is not the way that's going to fit for me. It does for some people, it doesn't for everyone.
Now, how did you get started? So Mixed is probably, would you say it's your biggest business right now, right?
It is, in terms of revenue. Actually, not in terms of employees. We have the fortune that we can lean on some outside entities to do a lot of our fulfillment and things like that. But that started in 2014, the end of 14.
So let's go through, how did you get started, and what is Mixed Nutrition? How did you get started in it?
Yeah, so Mixed Nutrition, we have the nutrition in our name, but we sell a little bit of everything at this point in time. We have honey, cosmetics, bath bombs. We sell chocolates, not nutritious by any means. You know, a variety of different supplements. We sell fitness equipment. And if you told me, hey, I got a boot, you know, I just created these new boots. They're perfect. Like, I want them on Amazon. Like, we could take that and run with it because it's really the same methodology, just repeated across the products.
Okay.
But we started with the intention of doing something radically different with Mixed Nutrition. But in order to make money, because I just got out of college, like, I didn't have any money. I think me and my business partner both put in probably about $1,000. We built a website with that money, and the supplement industry was just so funny at the time. These reps from these companies, they would just give us their product. Like, take the product, try it yourself. If you like it, we want you to buy it. We were like, do you want this product? It's like, let's put it on eBay. put the product on eBay, put the supplement samples on eBay, all that stuff. Made money with that. We went to our distributors, bought more product, put it on our website, bought more product, back to the website, and it just grew and grew and grew from there. So from minimum orders of $250 at our distributors to just 2 weeks ago we placed a $100,000 purchase order, the biggest we've ever placed.
Yeah.
So it's just building, and that is one thing that I definitely recommend young people, especially if it's your first business. Start with $1,000, $2,000. Like, don't think you need a bank loan. Don't think you got to drain your savings account. Like, start small and prove that you actually can do it, want to do it. There's an opportunity there. Like, yeah, you can do the feasibility studies, you can write the business plan and all that stuff, but until you get into it and you start going, you don't really know.
Right.
Like, I was speaking at Ashland a year ago, and there was a student in the front row who said, okay, I want to start a restaurant. I need $200,000 from the bank. I didn't have the heart to tell him, like, that probably wasn't going to happen from the bank, because I know what banks are like right now. But I said, okay, well, what if we had $1,000 and we had to start the same business? He says, I don't think it would be possible. I said, do you think you could buy like a food cart or a food truck? He said, maybe a food cart. You ever see those downtown?
Yeah.
You're going out, late night gyro, stuff like that. He's like, I could probably do that. And I was like, well, wouldn't that prove the concept that your food's good? You actually like standing behind the kitchen. You can sell. You're dealing in cash, transaction, instant feedback right then and there. He said, well, yeah, I could probably do that, but that's not what I want to do. I want to start a restaurant. It's like, let's make sure that we are being a little bit realistic about what we're doing and proving that, again, this concept works. I'm actually good at doing this. Because if you get a $200,000, I don't know, maybe your parents, your uncle, your neighbor loans it to you. You get a $200,000 loan and you don't like it, or your food's no good, it's like, well, shoot, like, this is going to set me back years. Yeah, 10 years, 5 years. You may never, ever start another business because you might just be scarred from that. But if you start small, maybe while you're on the street, running your cart, you figure out, hey, well, this isn't the opportunity. Everyone wants XYZ product.
Yeah.
Everyone wants this particular item. Or maybe my, market's actually in drinks. I didn't ever think that until I got out there and found out. And it's just the experimentation process. You're going to learn all those skills you need to run a business while you're doing that, and you're going to scale naturally. And, both of my businesses don't have debt. We don't have any long-term debt. It's hard for a lot of businesses to say. And that's because we follow that same exact method. $1,000, put it in, take it and run with it.
Yeah.
So you don't need money to make money? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it helps to have some money, but the biggest thing I would say is you're going to learn the skills necessary to run your business while you're working to grow the business.
We were just talking about this before, too, that it's like you were telling me a story about somebody that had a business idea for a business, and they were already talking about getting acquired before they even sold a product.
Yeah, they wanted to produce something, and I said, well, this is a product that we're going to have to manufacture if we want the cost to get down. So the cogs are turning for me. Okay, we need a facility, we need equipment, we need laborers and things like that. And he said, well, I was hoping we would get acquired before we ever had to get to manufacturing. And I'm thinking, like, we've never had we have not sold one single product. We have not made $1 with this concept. Like, let's figure out the things that you actually need to do to make this concept viable before you're talking about getting acquired. It's a good idea. There's a lot of smart people who have a lot of good ideas out there. Like, my construction company, like, we're not unique by any means. Like, we don't have a unique feature. Like, great customer service, great quality, good pricing, absolutely. But, there's 100 different companies like us. Well, how are you successful? How can it work? Well, it's like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel always to be extraordinarily successful. There's a lot of restaurants. If you have a restaurant, is it going to fail instantly? No, absolutely not, McDonald's has competition, Burger King has competition. They're still billion-dollar companies. So that's another thing that I think a lot of people who are starting their first business get fixated on. Like, it has to be unique. There has to be nothing like this out there in the product market. Like, it has to be absolutely a revolution. Well, no. Is that a good thing if you have that? Yes, but there might be a reason why no one's brought that to market yet, And the particular idea that they were discussing is a unique idea, and it could work, but there was a lot of hurdles that were going to inhibit it from having success too. So it's just about balancing those things and finding out what works. And as they got going, they found out this isn't going to work, you know. And that wasn't a bad thing for them. It was just part of the natural process of going at it. But if they had sunk $30, $50, $60, $100,000 into it, then they find out it's not going to work after that. It's like, are they any better off? Absolutely not.
Right. That's what I did when I started my private soccer training business. Is I called 2 people that were friends of mine that do it already, and I just did exactly what they did. I charged the same pricing. You know, my buddy sent me an email, said just send this email out.
All right.
And I copied and pasted the email, and you know, so and now I do things differently now. But
Yeah.
like, you know, you don't have to. You're right. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at what other people are doing and maybe try to do it a little bit better or differently.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And see, is there a way to, you know, do this a little differently, or are they just not able to do it in this particular location? So I'm going to do it here, and I can, you know, take advantage of it. So I've talked to young people, and the biggest thing that I think that they really struggle with, and I think, I mean, I do to an extent as well, is just getting started. You know what I mean? And like, they have great ideas, what they want to do, or this, that, or the other, but they're held back by some sort of fear, whether it's fear of failure, fear of what people will think, fear of, you know, fear of not fitting in. You know what I mean?
I think the social media culture has also contributed to that fear of what people think. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if I start this and I start posting about this, like, what are my friends going to think? Well, my 300 friends on Facebook, what are they going to think? I'll tell you exactly what they're going to think. They're not really going to care that much. That's, I think, one of the things that I said to you. It's, you know, when I started my companies, I thought everyone was going to be like jazzed up, like, this is so cool that he's doing this. Like, really almost crickets, nothing. You know, my mom was excited, like, that's about it. You know, we were excited, but, you know, then somebody posts a picture of their dog and it gets 50 times the interaction, and you're like, this is kind of weird, I don't understand, you know? And that kind of like, I don't want to say...
Did that discourage you at all?
I don't want to say it, yeah, it discouraged me, but it made me a little bit confused, because I felt like I was doing something that was like impactful, it was meaningful, you know, it wasn't just the same thing that everyone does every single day. And some of my friends, they were naysayers as well. Some of my really good friends, naysayers. I was like, I can't understand this. Why? The box. They couldn't break out of that box that said you can make money in a different way than the way that I am making money. One of my friends, best friends in the world, but he's a teacher. So it's like a very like systematic job. You know, I make money, I come here, and they pay me my paycheck. So he couldn't wrap his head around what we were doing until he saw it, until he came to an event, and he was like, you guys are actually making money doing this thing. Like, this is crazy. Now I want to be a part of this. It's like, all right, man, come on, you know.
So how did you overcome that hurdle of, like, maybe your closest friends being naysayers? You know, how did you overcome that hurdle?
Well, initially, it did motivate me in some way, shape, or form. You know, oh man, we got haters now, you know, kind of thing. But
Hashtag haters.
yeah, right. But now it's just like, I'm so about like myself and my businesses, my team, and my family. So like, when someone in the company will say like, well, this company's doing this thing and this thing and this thing, and I'm like, that's good, you know, if it's a good idea, we can draw upon it, but like, let's focus on us, kind of thing. Like, because you can only control what you can control, and that's yourself, your attitudes, the variables that you have, you know, within your arm's reach. But what other people are going to think, they're going to think. And like, why am I going to spend my time trying to change their minds if they're not looking to be changed? You know what I mean? They're not asking for that change. So it is what it is. And, you know, I would say that going back to entrepreneurship and it being glamorous, like, I would say I have fewer friends than I have had at other points in my life. Not because, you know, they've scorned me and they've, you know, not been interested in what I'm doing, but it's a little bit harder for me to relate to certain people, because I think that a lot of people like to have surface level conversations about things, and that bugs me. And maybe that's because of my time in business. Maybe that's just me and who I am. But you know, when I see you, like I want to talk about some real stuff. Like I want to hear how you're doing. Tell me about your businesses. Tell me about, you know, all these things, you know, your ideas, your projects, things like that. Most people don't want to do that. They just want to have that, like, well, yeah, how's work? Oh, it's good, it's fine. It's like move on, you know, kind of thing. So I have fewer friends than I have in past, and also because, you know, my schedule, and just as I'm finishing up work, like I'm tired, like I'm not trying to like go to the bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I feel like a lot of people are looking to do those things on the weekend to escape from work. Like I like what I'm doing, certainly, you know. Yeah, it's good to have a break now and then, but it just, you know, it's more difficult for me to relate to people.
Yeah.
I find myself more different than most people than I am more similar.
I can totally relate to you on that. So I just wrote 2 blogs. I haven't posted them yet. I don't know when and if. When I write, I probably write 3 times as much as what I actually post. One of them is entrepreneurship is lonely.
Mm-hmm.
It can be.
It is, yeah.
And my least favorite question is, what do you do for fun? I hate that question.
And then what do your friends say? Oh, he just works. He just works. You're like, all right, man. Yeah, okay, whatever. He doesn't have any fun. He just works. It's like, well, it's fun for me, yeah, but it's also serious for me. And for me, it's like I feel a responsibility too. Like it's not just me in the business. You know, now I have, you know, almost 10 employees, and my brother works with me, and you know, I have responsibility to my business, you know, business partners, and all these people that have, you know, made these sacrifices so that what I'm doing and what we're doing can grow. Like now I owe it back to you. So I can't just say, like, you know, well, I'm not coming in Monday, Tuesday. It's not like that never crosses my mind. Like, well, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. It's like, well, no, I'm the boss. So I have like responsibilities. And I would never even call myself the boss. You know, I'm just one of the guys who on paper owns part of it, you know.
Yeah.
I would never ask my employees to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do.
No.
So if my employees, you know, got to come in on Saturday, I'm going to be there.
That's good leadership, man. Though you said responsibility. Like another word for leadership is ownership or responsibility. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
absolutely.
And not, you know, I think that's probably why you've been pretty successful. Is you would never ask an employee to do something that you wouldn't do. I think that's probably maybe a big reason why you've been successful.
I think of everyone in my team as like equals. Yeah. You know, yeah, at some point there's somebody who has to make a decision, and you know, you may have an idea and I have a different idea. Somebody's just got to make a decision. Sometimes that's me, you know. Yeah. But I consider us all like equals. You know, I'm never going to say like, well, I'm not going to listen to that idea because you're just one of the guys who packs boxes. Like that's not the way that I think about things, you know. You may not have all the information that I have about the decision that has to get made, but you know, your opinion is just as valid as mine. And that's hard sometimes balancing that, because you know, when I want people's feedback, but then if I have to go in a different direction, sometimes people's feelings are like, well, you know, he's not listening to what I'm saying. It's, well, no, it's not like that, but I just have to do what's best for the business. And sometimes that's your thoughts, sometimes that's my thoughts, sometimes that's just a thought we have to run with, kind of thing. But you know, you were saying about relating to people, and this is one of the things that I actually just read a while back that I thought was really interesting. And it said, you don't have to be everyone's favorite person. Huh. Like, you and I probably met those people that like, everybody seems to like this guy. He's so likable, you know, he's so easy to get along with, you know, everyone seems like he likes this guy. Like, that's okay if you're not that guy. That's great to be that guy, but it's okay if you're not. And I kind of start to think of myself as like a niche person. Like, I have my niche. You know, I have my niche in business. I have my niche as a person. It's like, that's okay if you're into my niche. That's okay if you're not into my niche too. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy, you're a bad guy. It's just that we're different. Yeah. Everybody's different from each other. That's why you have skills that I don't have, and then vice versa. You know, we don't have camera skills. That's why we're not doing the camera thing. You know, but it's just an interesting way of thinking about people, and definitely being, you know, the one of the owners of a company, you have to manage those people and how you interact with them, and that's hard. I would say, being in business, one of the hardest things is managing people. Yeah. Like dollars and cents, those are easy. Those don't ever change. Like people will change. They'll have one attitude one day, and they'll have another attitude another day. So.
You gotta be able to work. Do you read a lot?
I listen to a ton of audiobooks. Okay. So I don't drive a ton, but I drive like probably half hour to 40 minutes a day. So I almost always am listening to audiobooks. I read a little bit, probably not as much as I could. Like I don't sit down and like open a book as much. I read a lot of articles. I just got on Medium. I don't know if you've ever used Medium before. It's like just an application.
I just heard of it.
You could probably start posting on Medium. That'd probably actually be good.
Okay.
But a lot of like smaller people who have specific topics post. And it's kind of cool because they'll just start to filter like things that you've read in past, things that are similar, and things that you might like.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's that algorithm they're getting you. But I do that, and then I try to learn new skills. Like I'm like trying to learn weird new skills. Like I'm trying to learn Spanish. You know, I'm trying to learn to play piano.
Why do you do that?
They're just interesting to me. I'm trying to learn Spanish because I would love to travel a little bit more, you know, when I have time to do that. I'm trying to learn piano just because I like music, and it's interesting to me. And
My mom's been trying to get me to learn piano since I was born.
when I was a kid, I just vehemently said, no, I'm not doing this. This is silly. I'm not doing this. I fought it all the way through basically high school, and now here I am. Like I'm actually paying someone to get lessons, and it's like they'd have just given me these for free. I should have just paid attention, you know. And now I'm paying somebody. It's partially me. I think it keeps your brain sharp too. I mean, there's a lot of science behind learning a new language or learning to play piano. It keeps your brain going. But I also just need something to like transition out of the business too, because I'm just in it so much that sometimes you just like, man, I need to think about something different. I need to put my phone down so nobody's emailing me, calling me, texting me, you know, no social media notifications, that kind of thing. Like, I just need something different to take my mind and put my energy into other things. What do they say? They say you need 3 things in life to be happy: a job you like, a creative endeavor that you like, and then an athletic endeavor that you like. What more do you need, you know? I like to play soccer. I like to play soccer. I like to climb. I like the music. I write, and I try to read a lot, and my jobs are good. So, what more can you ask for?
Love it.
If you could give a piece of advice to somebody in college, just getting out of college, a millennial, whether they want to be, doesn't have to just be an entrepreneurial type person, but if you could give advice, one piece of advice to them, what would it be?
I would say if they're trying to be an entrepreneur, I would say don't overthink it. Again, don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to wait. And waiting is sometimes the worst thing, especially for entrepreneurs, because it's much more difficult to start a business when you're 50 than when you're 20. Not for the simple fact that, you know, you're older, but you have so many more responsibilities at that age. You got a house, you got a mortgage, you got kids, you got a wife, you got, you know, education payments. You got, like, there's a lot of stock that has been put into you. But when you're young, you don't have those things, and you have kind of just that raw energy that a young person has, that you can just put laser-like focus into something. So I would say if you're a young person looking to get into entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be like, I quit my job and now I'm doing the, like, go like do a little side hustle, you know, like maybe just sell some of the stuff you have on eBay and see where that takes you, see what you learn. You know, maybe it's doing the food cart thing, spend a couple $100 and do the food cart thing. You know, I was working multiple jobs before I actually cut the cord and said, hey, I got to go do mixed nutrition full time. The way that I always tell my sales guys, especially if they have other jobs, is when you are literally giving away money by not being here with us full time, quit your other job. When you're losing money by working that job, come be with us full time. But don't do that beforehand, you know, because there is a period where like you should be doing both, you know, and that's what I did with mixed. For someone just in everyday life, maybe mindfulness. I don't know if that means much to you, mindfulness.
You talk about self-awareness, or
Self-awareness and just thinking about the things that you're doing a little bit more. You know, why am I picking up my phone to get on Twitter right now? Is this something that I really even want to do? Or is it something that, like, it's kind of happening on autopilot?
Huh.
Like, a lot of people are just on autopilot, you know? Like, I go to my job Monday through Friday, and then Friday night I get to do something fun, but then I'm back to my job Monday through Friday. Like, life isn't supposed to be like that.
Right.
Like, life is supposed to be something new and engaging every single day. And I work on it all the time, like trying to be in the moment. Like certainly I'm not always, but focusing on what's happening right now. Like not worried about what's going to happen later tonight, not worried about what happened yesterday. Like let's think about here and now.
It's all we get, man.
Absolutely, you know.
It's the only thing that exists is right now.
That's right. You know, the future, it'll be maybe here at some point, but it's not. In the past, you can't go back. Nobody knows a way to go back, so let's just focus on this right now. And, you know, I think that allows you to make real connections with people. I think that's another reason why, you know, maybe it finds, yeah, it's more difficult for me to connect to people in some way, shape, or form. You know, I'm talkative. I'm, you know, like relatively, I think I'm okay to talk to, but I think some people just don't want to, like, get deeper. You know, you meet somebody for the first time and you ask them, hey, can I ask you a question? Are you happy? They're going to go, this is a deep question. Yeah. That's a simple question, though, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
It's either yes or no, or, well, there's shades of gray in there. Yeah, I'm happy some days. Some days I'm not so happy, but try that next time you meet somebody new. I'm going to ask you a question. Are you happy in your life? Some people might be offended, right? Right. But that's
totally
just the world.
Man. My biggest pet peeve is surface level stuff. Like, I don't, one of my favorite words is facade. Because, like, there's so much of a facade in so many different things, whether it's in business, whether it's in school, education, church. There's so much of a facade going on in so many different areas. I just can't stand it. I was talking to a friend of mine that he goes to the same church as I do, and he was talking about people in his life that are a mile wide but an inch deep. He's like, I want people in my life that are inch wide and a mile deep.
I like that.
Because he's like, I can actually build a real, authentic connection, relationship with those people that aren't just so surface level. And
that's hard, though. That's hard. A lot of people aren't ready for that. Yeah. You know, a lot of people have these preconceived notions about what a relationship with someone's supposed to be like, who I am supposed to be like, or what I'm supposed to be like, and it inhibits them, I think, from that. And I do think that the internet and technology has made it harder for people to be real. Yeah. You know, remember when we were kids, you know, what you had to do if you wanted to go hang out with your buddy? You had to call him on a landline.
Right, with the cord.
Hey, I'm looking for Jimmy. I'm wondering if he's available. You know, I want to, like, now it's just this thing. Yeah. You know, here's another funny thing that I noticed, and I'm sure this has been studied. But if you're sitting in a group of people, pick up your phone, see what other people do. Everybody picks up their phone. Yeah. They get a little anxiety, like, well, why am I not on my phone? You know, what am I missing? And once you start to, like, look at that, you're like, what is happening? So I don't have Facebook on my phone. I don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't have Snapchat on my phone. I have accounts, but I don't have them on my device. Yeah. I have Twitter. I get on Twitter, like, still here and there. Yeah. People are hanging on my every word. So, no, most definitely not, you know.
Well, last question. What does success look like to you?
That's a great question, and I think success has to be different for every single person. You know, success, the American dream, if you will, it's not like living in a high-rise and having 20 million in your bank. That can be success, but success could be, you know, I have a consistent income, and so does my wife, who I love, and we have 2 or 3 beautiful kids, and we're very, very happy with what we've been able to build. Like, success is to me, something internal. That's like an appreciation and an acceptance of what you have done in past and have built for yourself. So for me, you know, I don't want to be a billionaire. Like, I know what it takes to get to that level, and I don't want to do that my whole life. Like, that's not something that I think is going to make me feel more gratified about myself.
So this will be the last question, and you touched on it just a little bit there. But what does fulfill you? What do you find to be, like, your purpose?
Yeah, I definitely think that I have goals that I have to accomplish almost as like a base level, like, if that makes sense. You know, I kind of got to fill my cup up before I kind of start to pass it on. But this was something I wrote down probably 4 years ago, kind of my purpose or my mission statement, if you will, and it's to establish myself as a leader in the business community and use entrepreneurship to show people what it can do in their lives. So that's why I attempt to be really involved here at Ashland University. You know, they gave me something, I attempt to give it back. You know, I attempt to help anybody who wants to reach out to me and like bounce business ideas off of me. Like, I by all means would do that, and I can give you my contact info so that like you have that. But it's about helping other people achieve, you know, some of the things that I think have been great in my life, and showing them that's not too far down the line. You know, and I think that's, you know, half of the reason you're doing this podcast is you want to show people that it's not out of reach. Yeah. Like, it's not unattainable. You know, 5 years ago, if you'd have told me where I was, I would have thought, that's crazy. That's amazing. But it hasn't been every single, you know, year that we're making leaps and bounds. It's day by day, week by week kind of thing. Yeah. So I want to show people that that's not impossible, and I want to help people do that for themselves. And maybe if I give that to them, they might be able to grow and give that to someone else. So just the empowerment of people, that's a huge part. You have to have that in your life. Like, having something you can give to someone else, that's just going to make your life that much better. If you're just taking, you take, like, you're eventually you're not gonna have the joy and happiness inside, that internal joy and happiness that I think every life can and should have.
Yeah, love that, man. Love that. I think purpose, I think true fulfillment comes from giving. What can you give? What can you give? Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much, dude, for coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Alex Johnson, all right. Millennial Stories with SammyV podcast, episode number 3. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, the guy that's doing the most work, the guy that's doing everything behind the scenes, Dave Hall, all right. Backpack Dave 365 on Instagram. If you need a photographer, a videographer, somebody, a creative director, reach out to him or shoot me a message, and I'll get you over to him. He's phenomenal. So thank you for checking in. Please subscribe to the YouTube, as well as if you're on SoundCloud or if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can get more episodes just like this. Thank you so much, and God bless.